It's the moon of May.
Bro, what are you doing?
Hi guys, welcome back to another video of the upcoming tournament predictions for TI, which is actually just starting tomorrow. So tonight I'm going to just run through the predictions for heroes, teams, players and tournaments, all of them together in this guide. And the reason that I'm going through the heroes again is because just in a day's time I found even more sources and have reviewed the picks that I've put in over the past few days. So these sources that I found are many different sources. There are over 10 different sources. Let me quickly show them. These sources include the stats from dotabuff. It also includes other stats such as reviews from Reddit, what other players are saying. It includes stats from liquipedia, such as the heroes being picked, dotabuff. It includes Dota 2 Pro Tracker, and even other sources I found, such as websites talking about the longest or shortest games, and also this new site called Stratz, which have pretty good insight on different heroes. So there are over 10 different sources that I'm taking from, just so that you're aware, and you can check out these sources that I've just mentioned as well. So now, without further ado, let's get into the picks. If not, it will be over half an hour. The first look at hero again. I won't take as long as I took previously, because we've already ran through many of these in depth and I've only changed a few. So for the first one on the most picked hero, I've put Mirana at first, but I changed it to Monkey King. And the reason that I did this change is because if we take a look at the Dota 2 Pro Tracker, you can see that aside from Tiny, Monkey King is the next most picked hero, and it beats the other heroes like Mirana and even Bane by a huge margin. This is like at least by 500 games, and Monkey King isn't exactly broken, it's doing fine. It can be picked in multiple roles from pause 1 to pause 5, but because it's not busted, I think that it will still not be banned too much. Yes, it will be banned such as against teams like OG, but I still think that this could be the hot pick of TI. I've mentioned Tiny and explained it. For the highest win rate, I actually changed this to Naga, from Naga to Visage. And why did I do that? I spent the most time on this one in order to review the pick, and I've changed it to Visage because after looking at many sources, including in Dota itself, you can see that Visage is one of those heroes that have crazy win rate at the high level brackets. Even on this new source on Stratz, Visage ranks number 8. It has even 87% win rate on the 3rd of October. Visage is a niche hero that can be picked in certain situations, such as when he has good laning partners, as well as when the enemy doesn't have too many units such as Lycan or Beastmaster. Hence, I think Visage will not be picked up too often, but when it's picked up, it will be picked up in games that is good, and it can storm many games. So I won't go into it further, but you can just drop your questions if you have any on heroes with highest win rate. Didn't change this. For the lowest death, I changed it from Anti-Mage to Naga, and the reason that I made this slight change here is that I think Anti-Mage is actually getting pretty popular, and so it will be picked up by many different teams. Anti-Mage sometimes play dangerously, so it has a chance to get caught even though it's in the meta. So instead I put Naga because I think Naga is being picked up by certain notable players like Ame, RTZ, and I think that they are good at flash farming without dying. So that's the change. Here with highest last hit average, I believe this is still the same. I believe this is the same, and Anti-Mage as well, Storm Spirit as well. Here the most last hit in the game, I've changed this from Terrorblade to Naga because after reviewing the stats, including seeing how Terrorblade does seem like it might have fallen off the meta. Even though this might be a signature hero, I would still choose Naga as due to the recent buffs and higher win rate and the players who flash farm with it. The game with the most last hits would probably be Naga. So okay, it's good that we've gone through the heroes faster this time, because I would like to go in depth into the other sections. The first section that I'd like to go through is teams. And first of all, I'd like to say that even though for the team that would win, even though I put EG, the truth is this is may not be the case, because the most hot take is definitely LGD. Many people predict LGD, and I do think that LGD are likely the hot favorites as well. But in my heart, I support EG. That's why I put EG here. They also really have good players, and I think some of their heroes are in the meta. So feel free to change this to another team, but I'll put EG. So for the teams with most kills, why did I put OG? The reason that I put OG is that I think that OG is like monkeys, based on how we've seen them played so far, even in the recent show match between them and Beast Coast. I think that OG will continue to do what they do, where even their carry player Sumail participates a lot in fights and gets many kills. So in the case where there's a game that goes really long with them, I think OG will be the one that keep brawling it out and get the most kills. Team with the highest kill average, I selected LGD for this because I think that LGD is a very efficient team. Yes, they farm across the map, but I think that they get the kills that they need to get as well, and they are a team that tends to go late. So that's why I put LGD. I put this over OG and EG because I think that although OG likes to brawl a lot, that doesn't mean that they will be the ones that win most of the game from the group stage all the way to the main stage. But I think LGD will be the ones that keep winning, and it comes off from them farming well and taking the right fights and getting many kills. I think EG would be similar to LGD, but the difference is that I believe that LGD games last longer. So teams with fewest deaths, I choose EG. Similar reason to higher skills is that although I think EG will do well like LGD, the difference is that I think that EG games probably last a bit shorter, and the reason that I have such a view is that I think that RTZ is a carry that tries to participate in fights more than Arme, whereas Arme tends to come out only at a later stage sometimes. Also, I think if you look at the late games, especially between China teams seems to be more cautious in closing out the game, whereas for EG, I don't think that they are as cautious about closing the game as some China teams. You could even see in the past two TIs, especially in TI8, LGD had moments that they had to decide whether to close out the game to make certain late game decisions. I think you could see that OG was more daring to make the decision than them. So yeah, I think EG games last shorter. EG plays well, so they might have the fewest deaths. And also this is, sorry, I just noticed this is in a particular game, but I still think it's EG because as you will be able to see, I think EG probably will win the shortest game. That's based on past majors and tournaments where they seem to beat up a team so badly that the team has to GG out quite soon. There was one game in any major that they almost beat a team and had 0 deaths. So that's why I'm choosing EG. Teams with the most assists in the game, I would say OG. There's other hot picks such as Undying, where you can see that the players themselves, if you look at Undying, they have super high assists. They are the most bloodthirsty. But the reason that I am not choosing Undying is because we don't have much info of Undying this year playing internationally. Although that's similar for OG, but OG has much past records. I think that OG will probably proceed further in TI compared to Undying, and so they are the ones more likely to get the most assists in a game with their continuous brawling. Team with the longest game, I chose Elephant. Like I've mentioned earlier, China teams seems to sometimes take longer to close out the game, especially when it goes late, because they are more cautious about making mistakes. And there was a game this year between Elephant and other teams, in fact more than one game, 2 or 3 of them, where the game took super long, even over 100 minutes. So I do think Elephant might just be the team with the longest game. I've already mentioned that EG might be the shortest because of the way that they pressure the map and the way that they defeat their opponents, and the opponents might GG out. Yeah. So let's go to the team with the highest game length average. I'm not sure if you know this, but there is a surprising stat for T1, surprising statistics, where if you look at eye-opening stats for TI in this oneesports article, you can see that, let me find it. Although it says Thunder Predator is the fastest team in the tournament, it mentions that T1 tends to have the longest games. And this is true when I watch T1's game, with heroes like Medusa, Spectre as their carry. T1 seems to somehow tend to take the longest time to close their games. Team with the most picked heroes, some people chose Secret for this. In fact, many people chose Secret. There's a list of Excel where you can see that it tells you what different notable players and casters chose for the different options. I will link this Excel into the YouTube. You can check it out if you want to, and the options can be quite diverse, but if you look, most people put Team Secret for the most different heroes. I beg to differ for this, because even though when I click the players and look at Team Secret, if you go player cards, Team Secret, you can see their versatility is quite high, but between comparing Secret and LGD actually has the overall higher versatility. And I've also checked individual player profiles on Dota 2 Pro Tracker, and if you look at the Dota 2 Pro Tracker, you can see that some players like Singyu, they really play many different heroes for the number of matches that they've played. I do believe that LGD has the most diverse hero pools, and they will show some diversity at TI. So let's go back. The last one is team with the fewest different heroes pick. For the fewest different hero pick, I chose Virtus Pro, although I was tempted to choose Beast Coast. The reason that I chose among these was based on mainly on the player cards. So I've checked each team player card to see which one has the lowest versatility, and initially it looks like Beast Coast might have the lowest versatility. But after checking again, I've verified that it is VP that have the players with the lowest versatility. Look at Kingslayer, it's almost 0. And if you check the Excel, it seems that many people agree that Virtus Pro would have the lowest versatility as well. With that, we've concluded for the team. I hope you like these picks. If you have a strong different opinion and a perspective that I've not catch, or you simply disagree with something, or whatever that it is, I hope to hear your thoughts on the teams. Moving on to players. Let's go through the player list. And one thing that I'd like to highlight before going to the individual categories is that you might notice that the players here tend to be from teams that I believe stand out, be it because they've won past TIs or because they are the favorites for this year. So the reason that that is the case is because I think many times it is players from these notable teams that may get the most kills or assists or whatever that it might be. So let's look at highest kills average. Actually, for the highest kill average and the most kills, I put Abed in both of these. The reason is because when it comes to getting kills, there are players notable for this, such as Nico Baby, GPK maybe, there is Sumil. I would say Nothing to Say tends to also be quite bloodthirsty as well. And Undying as a whole team is quite bloodthirsty for kills. But when it comes to individual players, even in pub games or in tournaments, I feel that Abed is one of those players that really keep invading the enemy, keep picking off the supports and soloing players, and even dive the enemy fountain in order to get kills. If Anna was in this TI, Anna could be the one with the most kills, but Anna is not. So I would say that Abed is quite a safe bet for most kills, and I have to also align the player pick with the hero pick, where I choose Storm Spirit as the highest kills, as Storm Spirit is Abed's most favorite hero. I align the hero with the player pick. Now moving on to lowest death average, I chose RTZ for the lowest death average. As mentioned, I think that the lowest death average hero is Naga, and I think that the signature hero for RTZ is Naga, and RTZ is a flash farmer who can choose to play really safely if he wants to, and that's why I chose RTZ. Army could also be similar, but I think that LGD games tends to be longer on average, and the longer the game is, the more deaths you will have. So yeah, moving on from this, let's look at assists. So for the assists, the main reason that I've chosen no tail is actually based on looking at the player cards and player profiles. Looking at the teams on the Dota main menu, you can see that no tier has an average assist of 15, and the heroes you play such as AA or Grim tends to get many assists, even Silencer. Undying is a team that has even higher assists on some players, but I don't think that I think to be able to get many assists, you need to be a team that does well, to keep participating in fights and keep winning, and keep participating in more fights and continue to win, passing the group stage as well as progressing in the main stage. And I think OG is the one that would do that better than Undying, and No Tier is the one that is a player who pick high assist heroes who participate in fights, and that's why I chosen No Tier. For the player the most assists in game, the reason that I chose Thompson is to align together with heroes. So I chose Zeus as the highest assist average because of the changes to Zeus where he has more spammable spells with lower mana cost. So I think Thompson would pick Zeus, and there would be a game, maybe especially if it's a longest game, it could be a Zeus game where he has even over 50 assists. I think that's highly possible. So let's look at the last hits. For players with highest average last hits, I've chosen Arme. I could have chosen RTZ, but the reason I chose Arme is that I think Arme focus on farming more than RTZ, whereas RTZ sometimes chooses to participate in fights, such as when he plays MP and Razor. And also I think the LGD games tend to be longer. So with this logic, I would also choose Arme as the most last hits in a game. The next two is also Arme for me, and that's because I think that if the game is a very long game, then Arme let me revise that. It's not so much that the game will be a long game, but that as the game progresses to the late stage, that's when the GPM increases due to further flash farming and taking over the map. And I think if you also look at this stat, LGD is the most efficient team at using the map, and they tend to win, and that means that they will have the highest GPM as well. So that's another reason. This leads to me choosing Army as well for the highest GPM average. And last of all, I would choose players that play the most different heroes to be Xingqiu. This was a very hard one. I know that we will try to look out for those that are versatile, such as Puppy, who experiments even Phantom Assassin position 5. But I think that we have to bear in mind that this has to be a player that's not only versatile, but he will use that versatility at TI itself, even in, say, the Grand Finals. This should be a team that makes it all the way to the semi-finals or Grand Finals, so that they play many games, which will lead to them having higher hero pools. And I think Xingqiu is one of them. If you look at Xingqiu's Dota Pro tracker, he played, look at this, it's 22 heroes out of 31 games. Most of these heroes that he played does fall into his position 4 role, even Weaver and Monkey King, Chaos Knight. And so I do think that Xingqiu would be one of those that will pick so many different heroes from the position 4 role, as position 4 is really diverse, such as how Monkey King and Tinker can even be position 4 right now. So that is all for the players. I do think that for the players, some of you might have quite different choices, so please share them in the comments. We will be moving to the tournaments lastly, and for this tournament portion, the stats that I use for the tournament portion is based mainly on Liquipedia external articles, such as on the longest game, as well as previous TI statistics, and also what other people say. So for the total number of games played, the first way that I tried to identify this is look at the brackets. If you look at this bracket, there are 20 best of 3s and 1 best of 5, meaning that the maximum number of games is 65. I do hope that the grand final will be 5 games, so whether it's 5 or 4 games, there's 19 of this here, so the total maximum game would be 62. Yeah, out of this, I think that some of the upper bracket round 1 games should be 2 zeros rather than 2 ones, and some at the lower bracket, a few among these would be 2 zeros as well. So that would lead to maybe say 7 or 8 games that are 2 zeros. So if you take 62, assuming that the grand final is 5 games, and you minus 8 2 zeros, that will mean 62 minus 8, and that will lead to somewhere between 50 to 54. Even if the grand finals is a 3-0 or a 4-0, 4-1, I mean 4 games or 3 games, this would still fall within this range. So that's why I chose 50 to 54. Total heroes pick, this kind of a no-brainer. In the previous majors and tournaments, such as even ESL 4, you can see that even though the ESL 1-4 doesn't have that many games, it still had 105 picks. Previous TIs tend to have over 100 picks as well, so this is easily 100 plus. Total heroes bans, I just think that during this patch, this year, there are so many different heroes that you can play from. I mean, just look at this list. What hero do you think is not viable to be picked at all? Almost none, right? Lone Druid could be possible. Lina is nerfed, but it could be possible. It could be some people's signature hero. And so, especially if some people have different signature heroes, there's so many versatile pool open, I do think that the number of heroes banned will be a lot. For the most combined total kills, this have to link to the longest game, and I think that there just might be some crazy ass long game that's 100 plus minutes, and it could be Elephant, as mentioned earlier, and Elephant have a few 100 plus minute games. This involves, of course, heroes like Arc Warden or Legion Commander, and I think those heroes could appear. The most combined total kills, I didn't go beyond 100 because even in games that exceed 100 plus minutes, this does not mean that there will just be non-stop killing, but the killing spreads out, especially in the late game. The killing happens less often as teams are more cautious not to lose 5v5s, so I will put the max at 100. The shortest game, I choose 15 to 19 minutes because I do think that some teams will be utterly crushed, but that doesn't mean that they will give up even at the earlier portions of the game. I think the earliest that a team would give up would be around 15 to 20 minutes. The most kills would easily be 26 if a hero like Storm Spirit runs across the map after a super good start throughout the game. And even if it's not the Storm Spirit, if in a super long game, a kill hero will get many kills. And if that is the case, then that means that it's not uncommon for a position 5 hero like Chen or maybe Disruptor or Leech, who needs items like Aeon Disc and may not get it immediately, to die over and over again and contribute over 20 deaths out of 100. Most assists, easily over 36. Heroes like Zeus, Silencer, Spectre can pull that off in some games. Highest GPM, I do believe that some heroes now like Naga, Anti-Mage, even Alchemist could still pull this off, so I'm quite sure that it will be over 1000. The other main source that I've referred to includes dotabuff, and you can look at dotabuff as well, such as by clicking this best economy, and if you want to compare, you can always click the hero to go further in depth, and you can as well use this tool by clicking meta, and under the immortals click the win percentage to look at more details. Otherwise, one of the more helpful tools for your own general analysis is this Excel sheet, where you can compare and look at the most chosen picks for predictions. So this is all the predictions. Reviewing again, these are the heroes, these are the teams, these are the players, mostly from notable teams, and this is for the tournament, and I'm most certain for the tournaments. I'm fairly certain for the players as there's high logic back behind this. I'm quite certain for the teams as well because there's many statistics backing up the game time, kills and all. And while I would like to be certain for heroes because I spent so many days and so much time on this, I think that heroes can be the most difficult to predict, especially highest win rate and most pick. But I hope that this guide is something that is helpful for you, that is in depth, and with that, thank you for watching this, and I wish you all the best for your predictions. And please comment and share your own thoughts, and we can have a fruitful discussion and lock in the predictions before the TI starts tomorrow.